You know, I've been lucky in that I've never had to go pitch a movie. I've almost never had to, because Beavis and Butthead was a hit pretty quickly, and Hollywood is so starved for hits and new material and new people, especially when you have one that's connecting with an audience and it's working. So from the get-go, it was Hollywood calling, let's make a movie. And, you know, so I said, sure, let's make a movie.
When we first saw Beavis and Butthead in the early 90s, MTV had been running some game shows, started Real World, and otherwise was music video, genre-based, Yo MTV Raps, 120 minutes. And we experimented with this thing, Liquid Television, which was a hodgepodge of animations, and ultimately Frog Baseball, I think it was like a 2 or 3 minute short, worked its way into Liquid TV. But beyond that, we did not have animation, long-form animation on the channel.
That was cool.
I got, personally, 5 movie offers the first week Beavis and Butthead was on the air. It was that viral. And this is not like the time of internet popularity.
If anyone was going to take the chance and turn that into a feature film, it was kind of right for us.
There's a lot of reasons it took a while. It was having to do with corporate mergers and arguments about whether it's live action or animated.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before. We must find this butthole that took our TV.
Yeah.
When I first got to MTV Films, they had been talking about doing a movie based on Beavis and Butthead, and originally they thought there was going to be a live action version, and I think Mike very rightly thought that was not a good idea.
I remember at the time it was like, let's have Chris Farley be Butthead and David Spade be Beavis. And we're like, hang on a second, they're cartoons. You know, if we're doing a movie, it's gonna be animated.
What if we never find it?
Settle down, Beavis.
You know, we saw every studio, and they all pitched us ideas we didn't like, and we just kind of came back from Hollywood and said, we're gonna hang on and do it when we're ready. And ultimately, I think in the conversations with Mike and everyone, we felt we had to give them more dimension. After all, you had a show with multiple seasons where they just sat on their couch.
The first draft had a real story, and I think as long as you're invested in the story, that the great characters that they were going to be entertaining to watch the whole time.
If you could imagine all the sights that they would see that would be appealing to them, and they'd only see through their jaded eyes.
Yeah, they don't know they're the greatest wonders of the greatest national sites. They have no idea. They couldn't care less. Washington, what do they know about? That's what's so great. Take them and put them in a situation that anyone else would be focused on where they are. They're just they're so pure. Scoring and TV. And I don't know which one's more important to them.
I'm probably gonna make out with her first before we, you know, get down. You know what I'm saying?
And then when we let people know we were doing the movie, you know, people like Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, and others came out of the woodwork and wanted to do voices, and it was the easiest booking we've ever done, even though those people didn't really get paid too much to do it.
It really was the perfect film to start our division with, because it was representative of the whole just attitude of MTV, and starting in the film division could be a signature film while also being pretty adventurous in a way, doing something that hadn't been done before on the big screen.
Don't wear yourselves out, boys. Save some energy for me.
This is it, Beavis. We're finally gonna score.
Thank God.
Beavis and Butthead movie was the first time we put some money into it. And that's really, I mean, animation, it's not It's not so much, you know, do I draw better than this guy, or it's really how much money you put in it, how much, you know, manpower, men and women sitting there drawing, and also it was the first time we actually had an art director. So we actually, for the first time, started thinking about having a color palette from scene to scene and make it look nice. Beavis and Butthead, the episodes are, except for the first season, they're all hand inked and painted and on cell and shot on film. So we had film that we'd never projected in a theater. So we took a couple episodes and projected them and realized pretty quickly that you can't get away with just, you know, held cells, they call them, one cell that's just sitting there for a background character that's not moving. And, you know, you need to do it on bigger field size, actually bigger paper, because, you know, you can't zoom in on a drawing this big and project it on a huge screen and have it look good. So it does look a little richer, and there's more movement in the background. And I actually love the way that movie looks. Office Space, the movie I did, I haven't watched it since the color timing. I don't, this movie I'm doing now, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch again after I'm done with it. But the Beavis and Butthead movie, especially projected, which I've seen it once or twice projected since it came out. I love looking at, even on DVD, I just, it doesn't bother me to see it again.
Everything was overlapping, everything was happening at once. So we never had the luxury of having one part finished. Well, I mean, we're still being written pretty much, like, till the last few months, because the ending was kind of open for a while, which is so hard to believe because it's the most perfect ending in the world. But it was an evolution. As later on, I've worked on features that producers told me it's a process. Yvette, it's a process. You know, I like maybe a short process, but I like to make decisions. TV is about decision making. So, but that was a process in its condensed form. But you could see how magic just happened. Like things seemed loose ends, and then they would come together. It was just some sort of amazing logic or creativity happening.
Mike wanted to take us places we weren't comfortable, take the audience places, but he was always true to his vision, the characters. He always defended Beavis and Butthead and their character and how they saw the world through the eyes of relatively innocent, you know, 15 or teen boys. And it was always pure, and he never strayed from that.
The great thing about Mike is that he was really clear on who his characters were. And actually, nobody got it perfectly but him. And so he had a team of writers, all of whom were really great. Some got it a little closer than others, but at the end of the day, whether it was the intonation of the voices, or the exact way that the characters spoke, or the thing that they would do, it's almost like trying to imitate another human being. It's pretty much impossible. And those characters are so ingrained in Mike, and Mike's so ingrained in them, that you really couldn't extricate them.
Wood.
You may wonder, how can wood get so hard? Well, the wood became hard over 2 million years ago.
I had this awful meeting with a Paramount casting woman where she, I don't think she knew I did any of the voices, so she was going down the list, suggesting all these celebrities for, like Mr. Van Driesen, and when I'd say, actually, I do that voice, she kind of,
I assume you're a government agent. I would think you would know there's something in this country called due process, okay?
So I kind of had a little bit of a, like, you know, we don't need big celebrities. What good does it do us? But actually, boy, all of them were really good and so much better than anything I could have done or anyone else we could have gotten. We had, you know, Cloris Leachman, like I say, Robert Stack, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, Greg Kinnear. They all nailed it perfectly, I thought. It was great.
And none of those actors were ever in the same room. It was all recorded separately. One thing that was different about the recording process of our show is that every actor was recorded individually, and it was all their conversations were pieced together in editing afterwards. Mike flew to London to record Demi Moore, and then when we had to record Bruce Willis, myself, Mike, and a sound guy had to fly to his home in Idaho.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, what's going on? Hey. Ah! We're gonna die!
do not underestimate the sort of cultural significance of Beavis and Butthead. And even people like Cloris Leachman, who weren't quite sure who they were, knew it was kind of cool.
Get out of there, Beavis. I want the window.
No way, butthole.
Why don't you take turns?
Hey, Butthead, check it out. It's that slut from the plane.
Oh, why, it's you two. How'd you do in Las Vegas?
We didn't score yet.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Me, I took a beating.
Cool.
I really love them. And it makes me laugh when people say, oh, I don't watch it. I wouldn't watch it. Have they ever seen it? No, but I wouldn't. It is wonderful. It's such a... It allows people to not take themselves so seriously.
Actually, on the show, we have a guy who comes in who's kind of a Robert Stack wannabe. And so I kept thinking, well, that's who I was hearing. I was saying, well, who are we going to get to do the voice? Robert Stack. I forgot that this is, you know, a big-time movie.
A mean old cop, that's right. Elliot Ness on Benzodrine.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
All right, where's the unit?
My unit? In my pants?
Not on him, Chief.
Agent Hurley, I want you to give this scumbag a cavity search. I'm talking Roto-Rooter. Don't stop till you reach the back of his teeth.
Yeah.
Once we knew David Letterman would do a voice, it was like, well, there really couldn't be anything funnier than the idea that David Letterman, even though he's playing another character, was the father of perhaps Butthead, you know, and then he's a roadie for Motley Crue. The movie was the perfect time to be able to drop a bomb like that.
Hey, one of you bastards got a match?
Yeah. My butt and your, butt.
You know, the most important thing you can have on a camper is a good propane regulator.
Hey, baby.
Fire! 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 Fire!
There were bands that were fans of the show, and guys like Rob Zombie and the Chili Peppers, obviously, and people wanted to be a part of it.
I'd seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers actually in a club when I was, I don't know, 21, and there was maybe 30, 40 people in the audience, and they were just amazing. Somehow that song really felt right in there. It had a good energy to it. The original idea was that there would be a lounge act, and I would get a band to do a song sort of in the character of a lounge group, which I thought a lot of bands would want to do. I thought maybe they'd think that would be fun, where it would be like incognito. But, you know, when you get the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the studio, they're not going to sound like a lounge act. I don't think they wanted to. They recorded a great version of that song, and it worked well, but the animation train had already left the station. You have this band on stage that doesn't look anything like the Chili Peppers. I'm actually glad it didn't end up being them impersonating a lounge act, because it needed to be pretty loud and hard driving.
It's like everything looks all weird and like there's all these weird shapes and it's sort of like it's like a music video.
You know, that hallucination sequence in the movie, I love the way it looks. I'm not crazy about the way it fits in the movie. I wish it could have just been like a separate thing or a cartoon beforehand. It started with pressure from MTV to put music videos in the movie. And I was trying to think, you know, I was trying to accommodate them and think like, okay, how do I don't want to stop the movie and have them watch TV or something. I couldn't figure out a way. And so that was kind of a compromise. I said, what if they you know, he eats the wrong cactus or whatever in the desert and has a hallucination sequence, and that can be your music video. And, you know, Rob Zombie I had met, and he does these really great drawings, that style that just, I don't know what you call it, you know, kind of what Big Daddy Roth evolved into when heavy metal got a hold of it. And White Zombie was going to do this song, and so we thought, well, let's base it on Rob's drawings. So he just did kind of a bunch of still drawings and gave them to us.
Chris Pronowski was our in-house animator who was able to take Rob Zombie's designs and really make it come to life.
I thought, okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's just have one part where it's just tons of eye candy, because that's actually the only digital shot in the whole digital sequence in the movie. I think there's one other where the camera goes around them when they're dancing. We only had one test screening of that movie, and it tested great, but the number one favorite scene and number one least favorite scene were the hallucination sequence. I remember my manager saying, he said, man, if you come in third or fourth, that's going to be so amazing. If you beat One Fine Day, a movie with George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer. And, you know, it was opening weekend for Scream, second weekend of Jerry Maguire, second week, I think, for 101 Dalmatians. There were all these huge movies out there, so I didn't expect, and the tracking wasn't showing that it was going to be anywhere near number one. I think maybe, I don't even know. I think they were afraid to tell me how low they thought it was going to be. Part of the reason for that, I think, is that people who are taking, you know, doing a phone survey, maybe they're embarrassed to admit that they're going to go see the Beavis and Butthead movie this weekend. So they say, you know, I'm going to go see One Fine Day.
What in the hell is that? Must be them damn buzzard hawks.
Everyone thought for us to put out a Beavis and Butthead movie at Christmas time when the Oscar movies come out, that we were as stupid as Beavis and Butthead.
This crab is warm.
Beavis, you butthole, you broke it.
No, damn it.
In December of '96, when the movie came out, it set the record for highest box office gross for opening weekend. And that's amazing. And I don't think anybody could have ever guessed that. Of course, that record for December lasted 1 year because the following year Titanic opened and it did a little better than us.
Our expectations were high, but everybody around us was like, you don't understand, this is so huge, this is so huge. And we're like, okay, you know, like, but it was, it sort of sunk in later.
Alcohol and tobacco?
Yeah, and firearms.
Cool, huh?
Cigarettes and beer kick ass.
Yeah. We're in the Bureau of Beer and Fire and Cigarettes. And maybe some chicks, too.
This is gonna be cool.
One of the great things that I think that I was so proud of, and I know Mike was proud of in the movie, was that it brought in, you know, bigger audience. God, I know we were so thrilled that Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up, and the Times, all the you know, the New Yorker, the Times, and who knows what else gave it great reviews because they got it.
We had a lot of fans, critics liked us. It's kind of amazing that we surprised people that you could sustain it for 80 minutes. And it was great to be a part of something that, once again, you know, proved our detractors wrong. People who hated us, there was no winning against us. The support was too strong ultimately as far as the fans.
Well, the series had ended when the movie came out, and I think that there was probably no other place for us to go. I think Mike tired of doing the characters and doing all the work and wanted to try something else, and obviously went on to King of the Hill. I hope that, you know, one day that Mike and the MTV organization can think about doing a sequel. We've brought them back to do promos for the VMAs, you know, in their robes and slippers, which the crowd loves. So people love to see them. It's amazing how people who didn't see the series when it was on originally keep coming back and demanding the series. When we launched MTV2, that was the #1 thing they wanted to see on MTV2, that and Tom Green.
What's going on? What is this?
3.
Take your damn pants with you.
Hold your fire.
What in the hell?
you know, it's great when Mike gets back involved because I think, as I said before, only he really knows the nuances, the specifics about what makes something funny. And so whenever he puts together a compilation or whatever he does, the fact that he did a commentary on this, I think will give people insight that otherwise they would never be able to have, because he really is Beavis and Butthead, and vice versa.
Attention. Attention. We're looking for the chick with big boobs.
Yeah, we are ready to do you now.
Even though there were times of difficulty in certain episodes, and MTV wasn't always willing to let everything get by its standards and practices, he had pretty much control and continues to have control, because you cannot separate the two. You can't, and so if you don't let Mike really do it the way he wants to do it, then it doesn't exist.
I didn't think it was going to be a masterpiece. I didn't think it was going to be anything groundbreaking. I just wanted it to make it a good, kind of like a good episode. I mean, I remember some people saying, well, it's just like a long episode. And I was thinking, oh, good, that's what I wanted it to be, because I also wanted it to be, I knew that as years went by that this thing would be sitting on video shelves maybe more than the episodes, and I wanted something that, if you've never seen the show, something that represented the show. It was actually probably the first time since doing Beavis and Butthead that I had a moment of complete satisfaction, of feeling victory. Like whatever success I'd had with Beavis and Butthead was always mixed with some other stress or some problem, and that movie opening #1 was the first time where I just had this feeling of victory, and it just felt great. I'd never been #1 at anything.
Hey, Butthead, you think we're ever gonna score?
I probably will, but not you. You're too much of a butt monkey.
Shut up, dill hole.
Butt dumpling.
Turd burglar.
Ath goblin.
Shut up, Butthead.